Hi. Today I want to talk about something scary, something that's more messed up than I am. And, I'm pretty messed up. I'm a paraplegic. But our country's more messed up than I am right now. And it's been happening for a few years now. And it's been happening worse the last 60 days. And I think you know what happened 60 days or so ago to make that happen. But what we're seeing now is our democracy is in peril right now. And I mean, let's look at some things. You have the universities that they're being told they cannot have DEI language, and if they do, they lose funding. You have students who are afraid to protest. I mean, students should be able to protest. You have one student who had her visa revoked. She was in the country legally. She had her visa revoked, and she was arrested, and she was deported. No due process whatsoever, and she did nothing wrong. She just simply said something they did not agree with. That's scary. I mean, that's what and look at with what they're doing now with DEI in the federal marketplace. I mean, they're taking it marketplace, but they're taking DEI. You're not even allowed to say it anywhere on things. Guess what? I'm DEI. I'm disabled. And they're saying that you can't even talk about me, without losing your funding or getting fired or whatever on things. And DEI also includes veterans. People who got wounded to protect our nation. I mean, these are people who fought for us. They're not out hugging a flag and getting away from service with bone spurs. These are people that protect us, and they're losing their rights now, underneath this current regime that we have now. And remember what he said about people with DEI. He said, Trump said that disabled people should just die because of the expenses that it takes to take care of us. This is said by a guy who we've spent $20 million so far, to protect his butt, when he's out golfing, in less than just 2 months on things. But they even, took out from the federal site, the Navajo code talkers who helped us defeat Japan in World War II because Japan could not figure out their code. Their code was simply the Navajo language, but Japan, they didn't know that on that. And these are heroes, that helped us in the war. And then, but information about this was taken off the federal sites because of DEI. And it's just you look at what's going on in this country right now, and it parallels what happened. And I read an interesting article, scary article, about how it's paralleling what happened in Germany, before Germany, busted out in full Nazism. When they were first starting off, I mean, Germans, would go grocery shopping, they'd have a job, so it's kind of like a split state, where they had normal things going on, and then they had the wild, crazy, Nazis on the other side, and it just happened more and more, and that's kind of similar to what's going on here in the United States right now. You can go out and get your groceries and things, but our rights are being eaten away at, or they're being taken away by executive orders and all kinds of horrible things that are happening. Look at how the free press is getting attacked on things. I mean, that's a normal thing for them to attack the free press, or banning the AP, for example, from the White House on things. Then they're eliminating woke words, from any. You're not allowed to have woke words anywhere and anything. They're putting Christian Bibles in schools, and the Ten Commandments. Oh, the Christian Bibles, by the way, many of those are ones that are being bought that Trump had made in China, and he's making personal money off of it. I, or look at how they're attacking judges. They're going after the judges, or worse, they're even going after the prosecutors who went after Trump, for the illegal things Trump did. And they even the law firm that Mueller worked at has now been banned from any access to any federal anything, simply because Mueller was there. Mueller saved Trump from jail. He really did. I mean, he found everything he needed to prove he was guilty. He had and he thought that was going to be enough to get Trump impeached and then thrown into jail. But then, the right side, they were too weak and cowardly to do it. So Trump got away with it. And if Mueller had simply done what Mueller should have done on things, he would not have gotten away with it. So now Mueller's agency, where he used to work, now he's retired. He's not even there anymore. But his law agency is being attacked by Trump. And just in revenge. So it's all it is. I mean, you know, and you look at how Trump threatened to hold off FEMA protection, from California and, from areas that voted against him. He would stop giving them protection and money on things simply because they voted against him. It's not how you do this country. That's not how you're supposed to do it. Whether they voted against you or not, you still take care of them. I mean, you're supposed to be president of everybody, just not the people who voted for you. You're supposed to be my president. You're supposed to be my wife's president, my kid's president. So you're supposed to be for all of them. And, and just looking at the things that he's been doing since then, like, he attacks our allies. He attacks Canada and he attacks Mexico. He attacks the European Union, and for what? I mean, and does he want us to be allies with Russia and with North Korea and maybe China? I don't think that's it. I think the whole point of all of this is it's all about the rich. Read Atlas Shrugged. Read 1984. Read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. Trump appointed something like 13 billionaires to government posts. During his second term here. And here's a guy. Trump. He bankrupted casinos, and he's in charge of our economy. And people are thinking that he's going to make our economy better. Here's a guy who owned a fraudulent school, Trump University, who's in charge of our education. This is a guy who mocked Obama, for the golfing that he did, and we've paid $20 million, to protect Trump in less than 2 months, with his golfing. Where's DOGE now? That's $20 million you could have saved there. And you look more at the rich. If I don't know if you remember when Romney was running for president a number of years ago, he said he had a great plan to cut taxes. So it sounds great, right? Oh, we're going to cut our taxes. Good, great. Until you really learned what his plan was. His plan was to cut taxes by cutting out tax on interest income, capital gains, stock market gains, and stuff like that. Your normal person doesn't make money off of capital gains. They don't do that. That would have benefited the billionaires and the millionaires on things. Then you have people like DeJoy, when he was put in charge of the post office. He wanted to kill the union, and he wanted to kill the post office. It was the biggest union, so he wanted to kill off the biggest union in the United States, and he wanted to privatize not Social Security. He wanted to privatize the mail because he owned a competing company to it, so he would have benefited personally from it. And he did his best to kill the mail. It used to be you could mail something anywhere in the United States and be there in 2 days. Now, things get lost, things get returned, things don't go through. The mail is just really bad now. And it was done deliberately. It was done on purpose, and it was done to benefit millionaires and billionaires. And look how Musk is walking around now saying that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme and things. A Ponzi scheme doesn't save hundreds of millions of people from poverty like Social Security has. Social Security saved so many people. It took people, out of poverty and then made it so that they could live a life as elderly people. And this is money that they put into it. It's not a Ponzi scheme. The only Ponzi scheme is the rich people who are not paying into it. There's a cap of $176,000 on Social Security. Any nickel over $174,000 in income is exempt from Social Security tax. Get rid of that cap, and you save Social Security forever. but you're never going to get the millionaires and billion. You don't hear Democrats or Republicans saying to get rid of the cap because they all have lobbyists. They all have people giving them money. But get rid of the cap and Social Security is saved forever. But they're never going to think of doing that. And you look at the other things that they're destroying that would help normal people. Like when Biden, I wouldn't say Biden was a great president, but he wasn't a horrible president. But he did put caps on certain medical drugs, and Trump reversed those caps. Why? What is the point of that? I mean, what? I, I don't know. I just and look how close Trump came to getting rid of the Affordable Health Care Act during his first term. He came within one vote. McCain stopped him, and he always said, "I'm going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Repeal and replace. Repeal and replace." Okay, let's talk about the word replace. What were you going to replace it with? Now we learned recently that he had quote unquote concepts of a plan. So here he is, one vote away from knocking it out, and it's gone. And he had concepts of a plan that 5 years later is still not even a plan. So he still didn't have. He had nothing. And then all of us that are relying on Obamacare, for like pre-existing conditions and things like that, it'd be gone. It'd be totally gone. And I actually, they did a poll on that. The Trump voters, they asked them how they felt about the Affordable Health Care Act, and everyone goes, "Oh, we love it." They said, "How do you feel about Obamacare? We hate it." They didn't even know that Affordable Health Care and Act and Obamacare were in fact the same thing. They just hated the word Obama, and they were told to hate anything Obama related. And so okay, I could go more into that. But let's talk now into another thing that they wanted to do. They wanted to privatize, or not, they want to privatize. They want to cut IRS, or actually they are probably already have cut the IRS. And you know why they say they want to do it? They say they want to do it because, okay, we'll cut it so you will not be investigated by the IRS. You will not be audited. They're doing it so that the rich don't get audited. I mean, the rich are the ones who get audited the most because they're the ones that have more of that. Auditors are going to go to the place that most likely have things going on wrong. And that's going to be with the millionaires and the billionaires because they have so many tax cheats and everything that they do. So, they're, and then you've got Musk, who's, don't get me started on Musk. He's destroying the departments that would investigate the issues with his cars and things. And it's weird now. You think about it. Trump used to say electric cars sucked. He says, "Drill, baby, drill, make everything gas." But then Elon gives him a whole bunch of money, and all of a sudden Trump's like, "Oh, you need to buy a Tesla. You need to get one of these here. They're the best ones." And he's got so he's got a car parking lot, sales, place, and and the White House where he's selling cars at the White House. That's disgusting. It's disgusting. Imagine if a Democrat would pull any of this crap. Imagine look at how they went after Hillary Clinton, when it came to her private emails and things. They went after her for years and years and years, and they never found anything. They never found a case where anyone found anything with it, but then just recently, we had this chat thing where a whole bunch of Republican leaders, and they get they include a news journalist, in a top secret chat program that can be ripped into by anyone who's good with electronics. And so they divulged secrets, top secret things. And now Fox News and Newsmax and all the others are going, "Oh, it's okay. Nobody found out anything. The attack went well. Everything's good." But they went after Clinton like crazy, and she didn't do anything nearly as bad as, I don't know, and nobody's getting fired. I thought the whole thing with Trump was, if you do something wrong, he'll fire you. Because he fires people, and then these people, yeah. No, anyway, I just wanted to talk about all this stuff now. I mean, it's, I'm not even going to get into things like Musk, who's paying $100, you know, to voters in Wisconsin to buy their votes on things. It's just it's amazing what's going on in this world right now, and we have to stop it. We have to keep our First Amendment rights. Keep your Second Amendment rights too. We'll get into Second Amendment rights later. I could demolish your argument on that. But First Amendment rights, I should be able to talk about this. The lady who was on had legal right to be in our country should not have been arrested for it. You should be able to put DEI things in universities. You should be able to do all these things here, but they're trying to kill our First Amendment rights, and that's what Nazi Germany did, and that's what we're doing. And if you don't see the parallels, you really need to read up on history. You really need to. So anyway, I'm going to finish this up on a better note. This is the book that I've been talking about lately, Cave Mannerisms. I've written, I've had 3 books come out in the last 6 months. So I've had, the kidnapping book and the young adult book that came out as well. But I keep talking about cave mannerisms, I think, because it makes me feel better to do it because it's humor, and makes me feel good to talk about it because it's a look at what our world is like, and we have to remember what our world is like right now. And right now, I think that there's something called Project 2025 that owns the President of the United States right now. And because all these executive orders he's signing, he has no idea half the time what he's signing on things. He has no idea. He has some idea with some things, but he just signs them because he was told to do it by the people who are running 2025. He has no idea. So anyway, wanted to talk about all this. I wanted to get it off my chest. I wanted to say it while I still can do it, while it's still legal for me to do it. Hopefully YouTube won't ban this video because I don't think I'm saying anything wrong. I can back up everything I said with statistics and proof on things. So feel free to touch base with me. Check out my website, www.normcowie.com. That's COWIE because I'm Scottish. And you take care, and you take care of your rights, and you talk to your congressmen, you talk to your senators, and you make sure that we protect our democracy, because I'm scared that we're going to lose it. So do your best to help protect us. Take care. Bye.